Let's talk about the anatomy of the hand from the supinated aspect, the palm up aspect, starting with our skeletal structure. We have our radius bone, that's going to be number 1, our ulna, which is number 2. We have this collection of small bones that form this kind of rectangular box shape at the bottom of the hand, which are called the carpal bones. That's number 3. And then we have the bones of the hand, starting with the metacarpals. That's going to be this. Then we have our proximal phalanges, which are going to be this. Our middle phalanges, which is going to be this. And then our distal phalanges, which is going to be this. In the thumb, we go directly from our metacarpals to the proximal phalanges, which is number 5, to the distal phalanges. There's no middle phalanges in the thumb. A few things to keep in mind. If you look at the way the ends of the metacarpals fan out, we have this kind of arc shape like this. And then if you go to the second row of knuckles formed by the proximal phalanges, the fan shape curves a little bit more. And then the third row of knuckles formed by the distal phalanges curves even more. So we have a fan, even more of a fan, even more of a fan going this way. All right, now that we talked about the skeletal structure, let's proceed directly to our muscles. Let's hide this. Change colors. Okay, so let's start off with the interosseous palmaris muscles. These are muscles that start from the metacarpals and attach at each side at the proximal phalanges. So I have a set going this way, a set going this way. Excuse me. A set going this way, running this way, and then running this way. Interosseous in between the bones. Interosseous palmaris muscles. Then we have the two muscles that form the ball of the thumb, our opponens pollicis and adductor pollicis. The adductor pollicis is the larger muscle. It runs in the upper part of the ball, attaches at the middle point here. And runs like that. So that is going to be the adductor pollicis muscle. We forgot to label our interosseous palmaris muscles. That's going to be A. And then below it, we have our opponens pollicis, which is going to run this way, like this. So those two muscles form the ball of the thumb. On the opposite side, we have the muscles of the hypothenar eminence, which start at the styloid process of the ulna, and then attach themselves to the end of the metacarpal here, like this. So that's going to be the muscles of the hypothenar eminence. Now let's talk quickly about the two landmarks of the palm of the hand. We have the thenar eminence, which is the ball of the thumb. That's going to be here. Let me add a different layer. There we go. Here is our thenar eminence. That's number 1. And then we have our hypothenar eminence, which is number 2. If you look at their location, the thenar and the hypothenar eminence start at the halfway point at the thumb. And then the thenar eminence runs to the middle point of the palm of the hand. So it occupies the lower right quadrant of the palm of the hand. The thenar eminence occupies the entire left quadrant of the hand, both the upper and lower quadrants on the left side. Okay, so there you have the anatomy. Now let's take a look at the palm of the hand from the posterior palm down aspect. The anatomy on the back of the hand is relatively simple. Mostly what we're looking at is tendon. So let's talk about some of the tendons in the back of the hand. So on the thumb side, we have the extensor pollicis longus and the extensor pollicis brevis. The longus runs all the way along the inside of the thumb this way. Runs down this way. And then we have the extensor pollicis brevis, which also runs all the way along the inside of the thumb, and then starts running this way. These two tendons, this little triangular separation, is going to create a really important landmark, which is the styloid process of the ulna. So we might as well do that now, since we're talking about it. This little triangle between our extensor pollicis longus and pollicis brevis is the Snuffbox. Literally the Snuffbox, because that's where in, I guess, the 17th, 19th century, aristocrats used to keep their snuff or put their snuff so they can sniff it in their nose, hence the Snuffbox. Then we have our extensor tendons. So these are the tendons of the extensor group, if you remember the muscles of the forearm. They start turning into tendon at the halfway point in the forearm. Let's go back to red. So we've got 4 tendons here running this way. And then they start fanning out towards each one of the fingers. So that's going to be your extensor tendons, D, and also another important landmark. So in white, you can see the extensor tendons on the back of the hand, particularly when the fingers are straining. We have these kind of wiry shapes on the back of the hand are extensor tendons. What else? Well, on the pinky side, you see a little bit of the muscles of the hypothenar eminence. So that's going to be this little soft bulge on this side, the muscles of the hypothenar eminence. And that's really about it. We have mostly tendon. The back of the hand is mostly bony. We're going to talk about that when we start talking about how to draw the hand in practice. The only other landmark we want to talk about is the styloid process of the ulna, which is this little bump right here. Okay, so that covers the anatomy of the back of the hand. Now let's see what the hand looks like when we draw it in practice.